News Central now begins with security matters, where bandits are reportedly demanding 5 million naira as a ransom for 2 kidnapped victims that were taken at Omogidi community in Etempa Council Ward in Otukpo local government area of Benue State, north central Nigeria. 2 farmers were said to have been killed and 2 others were injured. Locals said the deceased recently fled their homes due to a similar attack, but decided to go to their farms in Omogidi, where they were killed on Tuesday. The other 3 were also said to be on their farms when the bandits attacked them and took away one of them, while the other 2 were reported to have been injured. Still on security matters, troops of Operation Safe Haven have been urged to remain resilient in their task of maintaining security of lives and property within their areas of coverage in order to consolidate on the achievement so far recorded by the command. These were the words of the theatre commander, Major General Abdulsalam Babakar, during the 2024 luncheon with troops of the operation to mark the Eid al-Fitr celebration. We head to Niger Delta region, where the Ijaw Youth Council's national spokesman, Bedford Berefa, has voiced concerns over increasing military harassment of prominent figures in the Niger Delta region, fearing it could reignite unrest after years of peace. Has cited instances of alleged military excesses, including raids on communities and intimidation of leaders. Berefa criticized South-South governors for failing to address the issue, accusing them of prioritizing personal gain over public welfare. Urging swift action to prevent escalation, he warned of dire consequences for the region's economy and stability. Berefa called for accountability to an end to what he perceives as militarization, cautioning against political manipulation of Ijaw lives and assets. And to talk about this, I'm joined live on the news by National Spokesperson, Ijaw Youth Council, Bedford Berefa. Good morning, glad to have you join me. How would you, assess the potential impact of increased military harassment on prominent figures in the Niger Delta region on the stability and also economic prospects of the area?
All right. Yes, of course, we haven't condemned the attack of the military personnel at Okwama, but the reprisal attack has led to affecting Ijaw lives, prominent Ijaw people. The other time it was at the Gumotoro, where the military allegedly invaded the community, and over 20 lives, about 30 lives were lost in search for the alleged culprit of that Okwama killing. Afterwards, it was a foremost Ijaw leader, Paklak, house that was buckled, in search for culprit, and after which Okokunu community also was laid on siege, and it was most recently it was a good papa and foremost a Ijaw leader as well, Jack Krish, that was arrested, and in course of his arrest, about two lives were lost. This reprisal attack calls for concern. It calls for concern because if this is not well managed, it may lead to breakdown of law and order. Because of course, Ijaw people will not fold their arms, and watch our leaders being harassed and being embarrassed, giving national embarrassment every now and then. While they are carrying out their independent, investigation to bring the culprit, to book, it should be done professional with every high level of professionalism. Because we know that when it comes to investigation, the police and the DSS are saddled with that responsibility to investigate and come up with accurate results. And to say that the military will now, inaugurate, a panel of inquiry, and they are the one are going to inquire for the killing, it is uncalled for. We expect that the Niger Delta governors, the South governors should wake up. It's a wake-up call for the Niger Delta governors that our people are being manipulated. As I speak to you, a report reaching us that the Bomotoro is not go area. There is no going out, no coming in. There is no food stuff. The government cannot go in. Nobody can go in. And it's called for concern because the region is agitated as a result of this military consistent reprisal attacks by the military. It calls for serious concern. The people are agitated, and if care is not taken, this may just lead to another another round of unrest after 2 decades of peace that the Niger Delta has enjoyed. So it's a call for concern. We call the Niger Delta governor, as IYC, we call on the Niger Delta governors, the South governors to sit up, to wake up and prioritize the security and well-being of us, of that citizen, humanitarian concern signs of who they govern, more than the fat pocket and fat allocation that is their driving force. We call for them to sit up and hold the bull by the horn. The Niger Delta governor should come together and inaugurate a panel of inquiry, independent panel of inquiry. We have prominent job people that prominent people in the Niger Delta that can carry out this investigation without fear or favor. So they should beckon on such characters and come together and inaugurate an independent panel of inquiry that will go to Okwama and fish out and look at the practicality of what has happened and come up with probably solution. If this is left to the hands of the military, we all know that military constitutionally they are bound, to protect the territorial integrity of the nation and not go about investigating and carried out independent investigation. This is a responsibility by the number one security officer of each of the various states. So we beckon on them to come together to look at this. The federal government also should take this as priority because it has every capacity to indeed reduce the productivity of oil outputs and in turn affect the economy of the nation. Okay, Mr. Berifa, you talked about as a measure to tackling these issues of insecurity or reprisal attacks by the military allegedly in the Niger Delta region as carrying out investigation as to what really transpired. You also mentioned prioritizing the security and well-being of those in the Niger Delta region. What do you mean by that? When you say prioritize the security and well-being of those in that area, if you could just break it down, what in clear terms do you mean by that? Okay, what I mean, if you watch carefully, if you notice what has been happening, communities surrounding the incident, the Okwama killing, it happened in Delta states. But as I speak to you, communities in Delta states, in Bayelsa state, are also affected. There's no coming out, no going in. The people, there's humanitarian crisis as we speak. The people are living in actual penury because there's no social social activities ongoing, and that is not what it should be. It is not a war scenario. In as much as we condemn the killing of a military general, we also the lives and property of surrounding neighboring communities, and the community itself is also should be looked at carefully. Now, the current reprisal attack on prominent personalities in Ijoland. The other day it was Per Clark that his house was burgled, and there's no form of apology, national apology that has been tendered. It is worrisome. Just recently, it was Jack Rich that was harassed and 2 persons died. We don't know who next will be on the pipeline. And if this is not the state governors don't come together and prioritize these ongoing reprisal attacks and the militarization of the region, it will result to the break of law and order. In clear terms, the governors are saddled with the responsibility to protect lives and property. Currently, the lives of our people, of certain persons, are at risk. Even community that has over 5,000 persons are at risk. There's no coming in, no going out, and there is hunger in those lands where the people don't have anything to eat. Just to quickly chip in there, for fishing, they cannot go for farming.
Yes, Bedford, just to quickly chip in there, but the military has come out to deny them carrying out these reprisal attacks. So when you say it's the military carrying out these acts, what are your evidences? What are your facts?
We have pictorial evidence. Of course, the Ogbonnaya incident. There were incidents, there were pictures that were made available, that we have those pictures where people were shot dead. And we have pictures of dead body of over 30 dead bodies. As we speak to you, a report reaching us that there's no going in, no coming out in that community. They don't allow anybody to go in. Even the governor, even the government, allegedly does not have access to those communities.
But those are pictorial evidences you made reference to.
We also called some persons in the community, and that is the true situation of things. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead, Mr. Berifa.
And so that is a true situation of things. As we speak to you, we receive calls upon call. Our independent as Security Council, of course, you know that we cut across the Niger Delta State in communities. We have representatives, so we communicate with those people that are in the communities. You know, and that is the true situation of things. There's hunger in the land. As we speak, there are communities that don't have gari to eat because there's no movement. There's no movement. There is hunger in those lands, and that is the report that's got to us from from our independent search. Those that reside, that domicile in the community. That's what we get. There's no fishing activities. There's no farming activities. So people are dying of hunger.
Yes, and
there's huge humanitarian crisis as we speak.
That's most we can take. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. Bedford Berifa, National Spokesman, Ijaw Youth Council. Thank you once again. And moving on to another story, President Bola Tinubu has mourned the first civilian governor of Abia State and former Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ogbonnaya Onu. In a statement signed by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, Tinubu described Onu as a luminous star in Nigeria's political firmament. Tinubu extended his condolences to the family of Onu, whom he praised for being a principal draftsman in the founding of the All Progressives Congress and the valiant partner in the victory of the party in the 2015 elections. Tinubu affirmed that Onu epitomizes Nigeria in concord and wholeness as a late statesman believed in and defended Nigeria's unity, advocated for peace and promoted fellowship across the Niger. Let's also tell you that the chairman, Senate Committee on Privatization and former governor of Abia State, Dr. Ajuri Ngelale, has described the former Minister of Science and Technology, Ogbonnaya Onu, as a nationalist with passion for unity and progress of Nigeria. Dr. Ngelale expressed sadness over the passing of Dr. Onu, who was first democratically elected governor of Abia State. He also acknowledged the invaluable contributions of the former minister to nation building, while admonishing the Onu family to take solace in the fact that their late patriarch lived a purposeful life. Dr. Ngelale urged the deceased children and loved ones to sustain his worthy legacy. Dr. Ngelale ended the condolence message by saying that Dr. Onu will be remembered for his outstanding leadership qualities. Thank you for staying tuned. And to talk about the kidnap incident in Benue State, I'm joined live by my guest, Chris Akwarando, a public affairs commentator. Good morning, Chris. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning,
Mr. Akwarando, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me start by asking what your thoughts are on this incident. 2 killed and then a ransom of 5 million naira being demanded for those abducted.
Well, first of all, it's a sad incident, but we need to ask ourselves, where did rain start beating us? When did we get to this point? There are some remote causes that must have led to these immediate issues. Of course, we know that Benue has been a flashpoint. You remember the Chief Jukun situations and so on and so forth, but the farmers herders clashes. But the issue is, do we actually think about the remote causes of these issues before we begin to discuss the immediate situations? The immediate causes, of course, could be traced back to the fact that we've never bothered about creating citizens of our country. We have hyphenated citizens, and so you have a situation in which people don't think about the country. They only think about their social, relationships, their religious relationships, their tribal relationships. Okay. Now, we've also should think about the role that state creation had played. When states were created, were we thinking about cohesion? Were we thinking about cultural affinity? Were we thinking about people understanding themselves? Now, 3, we must also be thinking about the issue of indigenous settler situations. Indigenes who accommodated settlers. Where did the settlers go? What was happening to the settlers? We should also be thinking about the issue of religion. Well, how has religion influenced us? We know that in this country, religion plays a large role in appointments, in business, in governments, in politics. So why don't we reduce the influence of religion so that people can worship their God as a personal thing, not as a national thing. Now, we should also be thinking about the issue that politics plays. Now, we play politics of who gets what, politics of winner takes all, politics of as soon as I'm there, all of you should come. I tell you, look at these ministers, for instance. Do you know that each of them, their whole villages go there with their problems? Now, this is also a nation where poverty plays a lot of role in the way people think. Do we have people who think outside the box? Do we have people who worry about how to commercialize agriculture, for instance? Do we worry about how to commercialize cattle rearing? Okay, we don't worry about that. We only worry about, oh, this is where our forefathers did, that's what we're going to do. So all this aggregated, to cause this level of tension we have around the country, not just Benue. Okay, these communities in Benue are not different from communities in Ebonyi. They're not different from communities in Delta. They're not different from communities in Cross River. All this are happening between Ebonyi and Cross River, within Anambra, within Oyo, in Delta. So you cannot talk about this in exclusion. You talk about this as what is happening in our country, whether it is in Kaduna, whether it is in Borno, whether it is in Zamfara. All these are caused by the same issues.
Let's talk a bit about our security. Just to butt in the Chris Akwarando, you've talked about remote causes, you've talked about the immediate causes of this crisis we're having pertaining to kidnapping. Let's talk for a minute about our security agencies. These are recurring issues of kidnapping. Do you think our security agencies are capable of tackling this menace?
The security agencies are very capable. That is, and they're also overhauling themselves. You know, before now, if you recall, there was a man called Alozu Bwaja, who was a policeman, who talked about the police not being developed, police not being trained, police not being equipped during the President Babangida administration. You could recall. So when we de-equip the police, when we detrain the police, when we are not sure of the recruiting process on the police force, when we don't have enough police to police, how do you think peace can be maintained? The military cannot do it alone. The military, it's supposed to take care of our territorial integrity. But the military is now being called into internal strifes, okay? But I can assure you that the police is being re-equipped. The welfare of police people are now being taken care of. They're now providing accommodation for them, trying to think about how to pay the school fees of the children, medical bills, training the police, retraining the police, and re-equipping the police. So I think the police will be up to it. It's just a matter of giving a little bit of time. Then the second angle to this has been the issue of intelligence gathering. We've been having issues with the law enforcement agencies coming across purposes in terms of sharing security information. Okay. Now, the issue is that has been taken care of because they now understand that more of the military personnel are being killed, more policemen are being killed. So if by your own mistakes, your people are dying, your men are dying, then it doesn't make sense, isn't it? So they are also improving. Now, the third point is the political will to change situations. If the leader gets involved in the crisis because of religion, because of tribe, then things get bad. Or if the leader is lethargic, I don't want to spend a lot of money on this, it's not a priority, let them take care of it, then there's a problem. Then the fourth arm is that the local authorities are now being involved in intelligence gathering and then trying to see that those that are displaced are resettled, okay? Whether they're traditional rulers or opinion leaders within those communities. And once you do this, see, let me tell you, insecurity is because you are lax. You are not insecure when you're conscious that you need to protect yourself. And this is what is happening in Lagos. In Lagos, there is consciousness by everybody about security. The Lagos Neighborhood Watch is doing quite a lot. And when people talk about state police, I keep wondering, you haven't managed the federal police. Now you're going to have state police, and you're going to destroy the whole thing. Lagos has Lagos Neighborhood Watch, which is probably akin to having a local police. They don't bear arms, they just bear batons, they have bicycles, they have motorcycles, and then they've also now are giving security vehicles. Now, these people are doing a good job in our neighborhood. And so they have reduced the level of insecurity in Lagos State. If it can be replicated in all the rest of
Mr. Akwarando, if you can still hear me, just to quickly chip in, the National Security Advisor, that's Nuhu Ribadu, during a meeting with the Senate said a comprehensive and integrated approach is needed in tackling insecurity. Do you think this is really our challenge in Nigeria? You've talked about training, you made reference to welfare. Some persons say it's more of political will. What do you have to say about that?
It's not just about political will. It's also about the citizens' will. That's where I have a problem. When the citizens move every decision making to the government or those in governance, what do they do themselves? I'll give you a little example. Markets keep burning whenever you have a celebration. Does that mean that the marketers themselves, those that sell within those markets, why don't they organize themselves to protect the market? That's just an example. Now, you have a community that there is insecurity. They have traditional rulers. They have chiefs. They have opinion leaders. They have the security apparatus within that local community. So why should there be insecurity in that community? So because everybody is looking for rent seeking. If they don't give me, I will not do anything. But you don't forget that when the sheep is urinating on his tail and keeps saying that I'm urinating on the floor, then the floor should suffer. It's the tail that is suffering. In other words, the problem of the cricket is in the tummy of the cricket. If the cricket refuses to solve the problem in its tummy, the problem will remain there. So the problem with Nigeria is shifting blame. You keep shifting the blame. What am I doing as a person? In my neighborhood, for instance, we make sure that our security system is well organized. You can't walk into my estate without somebody asking, who are you looking for? Who are you? You can't even pass the gate. So if people become conscious that security is a matter of consciousness, it's not a matter of who takes the blame when a problem has occurred, but at the point of how do we solve this problem before it starts. That's what Alai Nulba is talking about. That's what he's thinking about. And that's also what he's calling people to do. Because if, for instance, when Boko Haram started, the Borno community tried to ward that up. If they stop thinking in terms of religion, if they stop thinking of who comes in and who didn't come in, all right, they would have been able to leave that in the bud. And I can assure you, yes, even the problem in the Okuama community, when they say, oh yeah, this place is too militarized, why is military doing this and that? It's because you're not conscious of what you're doing.
And that's a fine place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your expertise on the news. That's a fine place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. Chris Akwarandu, public affairs commentator. Thank you once again. Let's now tell you that the Lagos State government has ordered an immediate demolition of illegal buildings in Dosumu Market and its environs that failed its integrity test. The state governor gave this order when he visited the site of the fire incident in the market, which affected about 14 buildings in total. Our correspondent Adeshawa Odushoga reports.
It's the third day since the fire incident at the Dosumu Market, and the fire won't stop burning. Smoke was still billowing in the sky and more buildings were being brought down to allow for proper control of the inferno. Commercial activities in the market have been stalled.
This is what the Dosumu Market now looks like. This center used to be for traders and customers with a heavy presence of commercial activities. But after a fire incident about 2 days ago, costing 14 buildings, the market is now a shadow of itself, and it's only left with smokes that is still billowing in the air even after 3 days. The traders here are asking one question: where do we go from here? Now, this used to be one of the many markets that were sold here in the Dosumu Market. They are called trimmings, and then many traders here sell this in retail and in wholesale. And you can see them in the remnants of the collapsed building, and there are a lot more just like this.
Earlier in the day, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu visited the market, reiterating the resolve of the state to demolish buildings that failed its integrity test. The governor assured that the Dosunmu market would be closed indefinitely, adding that the government would assist those affected.
We will step on as many toes as possible. We're coming back. We're going to take down several buildings. We're going to take down all those attachments. All these extensions that you are doing, totally unacceptable.
In response to this, market women affected by the fire and the proposed demolition in a cry for help are asking the government to compensate them for all they have lost in the process, asking that proper planning should be enforced to allow reopening and renovation of the market.
Kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ discover jọ tó bá lè wá bí báyìí kó bá ṣe investigation lórí iná tá a fi ní proper light níbí báyìí tó jẹ́ pé everywhere generator la wá ń lò òun ló ń kọ̀ sí iná ní all the time.
It's the 5th time the Lagos Island market will be experiencing a fire outbreak in 4 months. This has been attributed largely to carelessness, lack of enlightenment on safety precautions, and illegal construction of congested high-rise buildings, obstructing adequate access to first responders in the case of such emergencies. In Lagos, for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoga.
The use of compressed natural gas, CNG, as an alternative fuel for automobiles in Nigeria has many benefits ranging from a reduction in pollution to an increase in productivity and efficiency. While many Nigerians are skeptical about converting their cars to CNG, experts advise switching to using CNG cars due to their affordability and also safety. Our correspondent, Mola Tinubu, tells us more in this report.
Compressed natural gas is steadily becoming the preferred alternative fuel for vehicles, with over 23 million natural gas estimated to be on the road globally. However, there is only minimal use of natural gas for vehicles in Nigeria. Besides being a great solution for the heavy air pollution on major roads in Nigeria, especially in highly populated cities like Lagos, using CNG cars in Lagos provides more cost-effective option, especially with the price of natural gas being much lower and more stable than other fossils in the country. While some Nigerians may consider switching to using CNG cars because of their many benefits, some have remained skeptical about converting to CNG engines.
Nigeria is blessed with lots of gases that we waste every time. So we are now converting it for domestic and personal usage, which, I mean, will save a lot of foreign currency and as well as making life much easier for we Nigerians.
I'm not going to convert my car that was designed to run on petrol to gas for the simple reason that it was not designed to function that way to start with. So what you're trying to do now is to get a kit that allows for my car to function somehow. There will be teething problems.
Although several Nigerians are not convinced about changing to CNG vehicles, experts implore the use of CNG engines as they believe it is safer and cheaper.
At the moment, we're using small vehicles, approximately 10 kgs, which will give you anywhere between 150, 180 kilometers on that tank. And again, depending, it could go higher if it's a 4-cylinder engine instead of a 6-cylinder engine. So yes, it's going to be definitely very, very cost effective.
CNG is environmentally friendly, it's cleaner, it's fresher, and it's going to benefit Nigerians more than fuel, especially because of the fuel subsidy removal.
Many, however, believe the use of CNG cars will help provide solutions to the country's transportation challenges as they look forward to the introduction of 1 million CNG-powered vehicles as announced by the federal government last year. In Lagos, for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
The news continues in West Africa, where Togo's opposition parties have urged people to massively attend demonstrations planned for Friday and Saturday in the capital Lomé to protest against a new constitution despite a ban by the authorities. Political tensions have been on the rise in Togo over the constitutional reform, which critics say is a bid by loyalists to keep President Faure Gnassingbe in power longer. The government delayed the legislative election for April 20th to give more time for discussions on the reform and set a new date for April 29th for the ballot. Minister of Territorial Administration Adebola Awate has banned the rallies, saying the route of the protest was illegal and the application for a permit did not meet a deadline. And that's all on the news. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Bandits demand 5 million naira ransom for victims abducted in Otukpo, Benue State. U.S. solicits world's attention on crisis in Sudan almost 1 year on. Gabon seeks Ivory Coast assistance on lifting AU sanctions. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.